Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. This is designed by Tom Butler, and it's going to be published by Green Feet Games. In this game, you're going to be either the prosecution or the defense, and you are going to decide the fate of Mary Surratt in this controversial trial over the Lincoln assassination. And this is going to be I believe the first woman ever executed for treason in the United States. So it was a super controversial trial at the time. Let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to show you how this game plays, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial 2-player game where you're going to revisit the 1865 trial of Mary Surratt, considered by many as the most controversial trial of the 19th century. Surratt was tried for her role in the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln and was executed on July 7th, 1865. Now is your chance to revisit history. As either the prosecutor or defense, your role is to convince the 9-member military jury that Mary Surratt is guilty or innocent. So in this game, you're going to have a couple different objectives. You're either going to try to get the most trial points in the game, where you're not going to have an instant win by the end of the game. You're going to try to have the most points so you can win by that. The other way is you're going to try to convince 4 of these jurors. And if you're able to do that, you automatically win. And if you go beyond a reasonable doubt, you will also automatically win. And that's where you're going to get this marker to either guilty if you're the prosecution or innocent if you're the defense. If you do that, you instantaneously win the game. Setup for this game is pretty darn easy. You're just going to take 6 of the 9 jurors and you're going to draft them. You're going to pick one. Your opponent's going to pick one. You're going to pick one again, and then the remainder is going to go into these locked juror spots. After that, the 3 that weren't drafted is going to go into here, and these are different jurors you can sway throughout the game to get them. These 2 jurors are what you're going to start with. On the bottom of any of these cards that we're looking at, this is the cost of the card, and this is your reward on the top. Right now, you don't have these jurors. They're yours, but when you pay for them, you turn them to the side to show that you've paid for them, and then you'll get the benefit for the rest of the game. So in addition to that, you're going to place out these dice, and the prosecution is going to get to place out 3, the defense is going to get to place out 2, and the defense will get to place out prosecution will be able to place out this dice right here. And that's a locked die that you'll get if you get to push that marker past 0. All right, so you start the game with 5 sway tokens, and in each of these trial phases, you're going to draft a die. So when you draft die, if it's my turn to draft a die, I will place a sway token down for every die I want to skip, then pick my die. So let's say I want the hearsay die, so I'll pay 1 sway to be able to skip that, and I got the hearsay die. The opponent will do the same, and then we'll be able to start our phase. As the dice get removed after the opponent takes theirs, so let's say they take this one, we're going to roll 2 dice and replace those die. All right, now we're going to get into what you're going to do for each of the phases. So each of the phases, after we've done the pre-trial step, which is going to be dice drafting, we're going to get into trial phase 1. And we'll repeat this for trial phase 2 and 3. But now we're going to start drafting cards. So on my turn, I can pick one of the cards that's available. Now they have to be uncovered. So right now, only these 2 cards are uncovered. If I wanted to get Boost Knife here, I would have to pay 1 sway, and then, which I'll do, and then I always get this ability on the top. So I always get that for paying in the future. So later on when this is uncovered, if I want this card, I will be able to gain that for free. I'll flip over these 2 cards because they're uncovered. The opponent will take their turn. Now, there's more than just picking up a card. Now, the opponent there, they have that green question die that counts as any die face. So technically, they could get this one for free. But there's some other things they can do with their turn other than just taking the card and putting it in their tableau. They could discard the card, so they could say, well, I know you really want this gun, So I'm going to discard this card, and I can gain 2 sway. The other thing they can do is they could discard the card to persuade one of the 3 open jurors. So these are these jurors here, which I'll show you in a second. The third thing they can do is they could discard a card to convince an able juror in your hand. So those are the 3 other things you can do with it. Now, if you're going to convince one in your hand, you're going to have pay this cost down here. So I'm going to have 2 of each of these icons available to do it. If I want to, and then when I do, this guy is permanently available, and then I'll have that ability on the top for the rest of the game. Now, if I want to persuade any of these open jurors, in general, I'm going to look down on the bottom here, and wherever this is on the track, that's what I'm going to have to pay. So here, I'll have to pay the 2 hearts. It'll come towards me. Then the next one, I'll have to pay 3 hearts. However, if you're the defense and this is here, they have to pay 3 hearts. Same if it made it over here. If I want to pull it back this way, that's going to cost me 3 hearts. You have to pay what's next to it. So that's going to be how you're going to sway the jurors in general, but there's one additional thing you can do. At the beginning of the game, we put 3 trial phase 3 cards here. And for an alternate cost 1 time, you can pay this instead of these. And if you do, you'll just slide this under here to show that it was actually used. So either player could do that. And once they're gone from the game. That option's not available anymore. So that's what you could do with your cards. You could also do multiple things here with your dice. So there's some cool things you could do with dice, and I'm going to show you some cool things with the cards. Now with the dice, you do 1 card action on your turn, but you can do as many dice actions as you wish on your turn. And you get dice mainly through these cards here, but you do get 1 at the beginning of each trial phase too. But here they just basically, you could use the faces to provide any 1 resource. Here, if you have these nooses, the nooses are really important, because the nooses are what's going to actually move the justice marker closer to you. So this one, if you have 1, it'll be 1 space. If you spend 2 at one time, it's going to be 3 space. If you're going to spend 4 at one time, it's going to move it 4 spaces. And a couple cool things along this track here. So if I move this along here, if I go past here, I'm going to be able to get this juror into my hand to be able to sway in the future, which is really important. If this gets pulled back across, that person's going to get this die here, which immediately gets replaced. And again, if you ever get it to all the way to your side, you will automatically win. So now you won't get all the cards out in this little stack here. Something like here's 3 of the cards, which are dice related cards that didn't get out in that stack. So not all the cards will be available. All right, so that in general is how you play Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. Let's go back up the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so that was Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. Component quality for this is amazing. Card quality is great. The player boards are really nice, thick. Cardboard, going to really last up. Love the big chunky trial dice on those. Those are amazing with the screen printing and everything. Really love those dice. Those are so cool. I think this game is going to hold up for a very long time. And also the art on the game is incredibly thematic for this setting. Now let's get into the gameplay. Is it a good game? I believe it is. If you like games like Seven Wonders or Watergate and you like that 2-player sort of push and pull that happens throughout the game, this one I think is amazing, and it is a little bit more than those. You could argue a little bit, but I think there's a little bit more going on with Unforgiven. There's a little bit more that you have to keep track of, and there's a little bit more ways that you can get your advantage. I really like a lot of different aspects of this game. I really like trying to sway those jurors so that you can put them down and maybe you get 4 jurors. I really like that trying to go beyond reasonable doubt to try to instantaneously win the game, or watch your opponent try to do it and then pull it back a little bit. I also love how those games solve the like 2-player drafting issue. So drafting doesn't really make sense with 2 players, but with that setup where you can pick a card from the tableau and it unlocks other cards for the other player, and the decisions you need to make of whether you want to make this available for your opponent is amazing and actually makes drafting work. There's just so much going on with this game that is awesome. And it's not really hard to teach, which is really great too. I think there's a ton of replayability in the game. You're not really going to get all the trial phase 1, 2, and 3 cards out. So you're going to have a different, and even if you did, you're still going to have a different configuration of them, and they're going to be available different times in the game. So every game is going to be different. And so there's a lot of replayability in this game also. And I really do think that if you like what you saw in there, that you definitely want to give this game a play, because you're probably going to end up liking it. If you specifically like Seven Wonders Duel or Watergate and you like this theme, this is pretty much an all, just get it. It's going to be amazing for you. If you're not too sure about the theme doesn't beat you over the head. So if you're okay with the theme, then I would still, try this game out. It's really, really well designed. It was well thought out and well executed. Just everything about it's great. And it's going to go into my collection. A lot of my games that I review, almost none of them go in my collection. This one definitely is. I think I'm going to find a lot of enjoyment in this game, and I think I'm going to find a lot of times it gets to the table. So that's my thoughts on Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. Thank you for watching.